Welcome to the first DragonLance Saga Dungeon Mastering 101 episode. It is Linaris Florgreen, the 21st. My name is Adam, and today I'm starting this new Dragonlance gaming series all about dungeon mastering, inspired by a Dragonlance setting episode I released this past week. I received a comment asking if I could help the situation in the game that I was calling out, and this is the result of that comment. The Graphite Dragon shared some wonderful insight on the topic, and what follows is a collection of his thoughts, his documents and notes, and my own. Again, this is primarily from my perspective, so if you got a problem, take it up with me. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel, ring the bell, and you can support this channel by becoming a patron on Patreon. You can become a member of this YouTube channel, and you can pick up some Dragonlance gaming materials using my affiliate link. And all of those links are in the description below. It's Sunday evening. Let's have a good time. Let's do a little bit of back and forth. If you got something to say, if you just want to say hi, pop up in YouTube chat and we'll have a little bit of an interaction. First and foremost, before we start any of this, we must accept personal responsibility for our actions and thoughts. We are all independent, autonomous human animals with a myriad of chemical differences, as well as cultural, social, religious, and ethnic backgrounds. Our perceptions of issues, even among similar individuals, vary dramatically. No one group or tribe is a monolith. Understanding this fact should lead you to celebrate different perspectives and be able to tolerate them, even when you fervently disagree with them. Trying to stifle discussion in any form is a tactic of weakness and control. The purpose of a Dungeons & Dragons role-playing game is not to have dominant control even when referring to the Dungeon Master. It's about a shared experience that is guided by the Dungeon Master, yes. It's about playing and shaping a game for fun. I understand that my philosophy on gaming may differ from yours, and I welcome you jumping in on live chat to share your thoughts. We can have a bit of a back and forth again throughout the course of this episode. If we can all agree to be responsible individuals that are getting together to have fun, I think we're starting from the best possible place. Let's move on to discussing today's topic of player awareness. Briefly first, I would like to share my personal experience with role-playing gaming. I started playing role-playing games with the Dungeons & Dragons basic set. My brother, sister, and myself would play it often. In middle school, a couple friends introduced me to advanced Dungeons & Dragons. From there, we bounced to Middle-earth, Star Frontiers, Star Wars, GURPS, In Nomine, Vampire the Masquerade, and Werewolf the Apocalypse, among many, many others. I even created my own role-playing game with a couple of middle school friends, actually, at the time, called Cross Genetics, and that was based on mutants a la Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. With more than 30 years of playing and dungeon mastering, I feel like I might have a little to say on the subject. My most successful games were Star Wars Saga Edition, Dungeons & Dragons 3rd Edition Dragonlance campaigns, and Dungeons & Dragons 4th Edition games. By the time 4th Edition came out, I had wrapped my head around the importance of narrative and collaboration, two essential elements of a good group dynamic in gaming. I would like to begin the discussion by bringing up my 5 tips for every individual playing the game or running one. 1. Know yourself as a player. Let's start first with a player's self-awareness. A player should know their own hang-ups or triggers. Knowing yourself is the most important aspect of not only being a good player, but also being a healthy adult. You should know what bothers you or sets you off. If you cannot control these emotions, you should remove yourself from the game. If during the course of the game you're faced with your particular triggers, it is incumbent upon you to talk to the DM and other players in privacy to share your thoughts and concerns. Remember, this is a collaborative game. It is as important to ensure everyone is having a good time, and you're not the only important factor to the game. If you cannot handle the content, excuse yourself for a short break, or ask for a group break to address the issue clandestinely. If you're open and honest, you might be surprised at how relatable your issues may be and how understanding and accommodating other players can be. 2. Do your due diligence when building your group. Part of planning as a dungeon master, is speaking with the players in private, not only to understand what the player expects out of the game, but to share your expectations as well. It's important to understand that not every player fits into every campaign, and if someone doesn't fit, delicately let them know. Alternatively, if you want to run a game, sometimes it's best to alter the campaign slightly to be more accommodating to your players. Part of what separates a good dungeon master from a great one is their ability to adapt to the players and the players' choices. As DM, you should know the ultimate scope of your game and consider your initial plan may not be the best one for all players. Be open to constructive criticism and a player's decisions and experience. 3. Understand group dynamics. A good group dynamic may look to Tuckman's stages of group development. Forming the group means members may need to relinquish the comfort of non-threatening topics and risk the possibility of conflict. When group members start to work with each other in the storming phase, they start to learn about individual working styles and what it is to work with each other as a team. Tolerance of each team member and their differences should be emphasized, as without total tolerance and patience, the group will ultimately fail. It is up to individual players whether they work through their differences, whether they reach the third stage of norming. When they reach the third stage of norming, resolved disagreements and personality clashes result in greater intimacy, and a spirit of cooperation emerges. However, there is a danger here that members may be so focused on preventing conflict that they are actually reluctant to share controversial ideas. Having confidence in yourself and the ability of your fellow players is essential to having a healthy group dynamic. Finally, in the performing stage, the group is able to focus on the game and working together rather than focusing on each other. Many long-standing groups go through these cycles multiple times as they react to changing circumstances. 4. Don't try to be edgy for edginess's sake. Understanding that as a dungeon master, you will never know the intimate minds of your players, nor do I think you should want to, but you should be respectful of social norms, not just when dealing with the game, but when dealing with other people. Traumas are real. Phobias are real. You should not try to grandstand and challenge everyone's perceptions during a game. You should not try to replicate a mature-rated themed series or film unless it is clearly stated up front and you know for a fact that all the players are on board. The Dragonlance Chronicles and Legends trilogies are arguably written at an 8th grade level, or lower. They contain mature content, but address it in a respectful way. If you insist on bringing mature themes into your game, consider the approach the Dragonlance authors take. And 5. Always consider the golden rule. Finally, remember, this is just a game. And as much as you want it to be epic and memorable, you ultimately want players to come back for the second session. So consider the golden rule, treating others as one wants to be treated. You want a game that you'll be able to share how heroic your hero was and the challenges you overcame with the other players. You want to feel like you're part of a living, breathing world that is vibrant, dangerous, and exciting, not a perverse dream that repulses you. So, what do you do if someone in your group starts reacting negatively in your game? What are some techniques you can use to prevent a situation from turning from bad to worse? Well, be present as a dungeon master or fellow player. If you see that someone is showing signs of distress or discomfort with the situation, call for a bathroom break or a snack break. Don't call everyone out individually, and as a DM, be prepared to stop the game for any reason, whether that reason's a doorbell for pizza delivery or a player with a personal issue. Be accommodating and make a written or mental note where you are in the situation so that you can step away from the table. Sometimes a little air is all that's needed to prevent angry or hurt feelings from developing. When you do take breaks, talk about something other than the game, something light. Tell a joke or a humorous anecdote. Hell, talk about the weather. Then, when everyone seems ready, sit back down and enjoy the game. 2. If you sense someone is angry and they start acting out, stop the game immediately. Tell the players or the dungeon master that the game is no longer fun and you either need to work through the situation or end the session altogether. I have personally ended games when I am clearly no longer in the headspace with my players. They were all gracious enough to understand, and the offending player actually waited for everyone to leave and apologized after I expressed my frustration. Now, not everyone is going to be able to handle that situation. Sometimes groups fall apart. It happens. Accept that the dynamic has changed and move on. 3. Be willing to voice your differences and walk away. When you notice a game moving in a direction that you are uncomfortable with or simply do not like, express your dissatisfaction. In most cases, a group will be accommodating, but on occasion, you may need to accept that you are not a good fit for a group any longer, and allow your desire to play the game to be overruled by your peace of mind. At the end of the day, you are the only one that has to live with yourself, and compromising your values should never be on the table when playing a game. So, this is all well and good when you have a planned session. What happens when you're in a pickup group? How can this dynamic then change? Simply put, apply all of the previously stated techniques in the same way. Except that you do not know what is going to happen. You do not know the sensibilities of the other players or the dungeon master, and you either accept what unfolds or you do not. But always be willing to walk away or voice your opinions if you have a problem. It is healthy to stand up for yourself and consider your peace of mind first and foremost. Keep in mind that games only work with the cooperation of an individual's willingness to collaborate and compromise. If you're unwilling or unable to do so, avoid the situation in the first place. Lastly, I'd like to talk about content warnings or trigger warnings. I know even bringing up those titles are going to trigger some people. If you use the tips and techniques previously outlined, they are completely useless, as you've already done the heavy lifting of knowing yourself and the group. Thank you for joining, Javier. I appreciate that, man. If, however, you are streaming your game or sharing your content with an audience of any sort outside of your group dynamic, it only benefits you and the audience to put out a content warning. In the same way as any movie or music album would alert the viewer or listener with what to expect, you should, as a producer or as a dungeon master, alert the audience in what to expect. If you do this, you'll not have to change your playstyles at all, and you will avoid having viewers react negatively about the content in which they need not subject themselves. Know full well that if you are online, you will have a fair amount of trolls and shit disturbers no matter what you do. So always accept that reality before you release any content. Javier, you have been triggered, man. But that is it. That is what I had planned for this inaugural episode of Dungeon Mastering 101 Player Awareness. Do you have any tips or tricks based on your experience as a player or as a dungeon master? Was I off base in any of my suggestions? Feel free to email me at info@DragonLance, DragonLance-saga.com, or leave a comment below, or if you're live in chat, put it up in chat. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel, ring the bell, and you can support this channel by becoming a patron on Patreon. You can always become a member of this YouTube channel, and you can pick up some DragonLance gaming materials using my affiliate link. All of them are in the description below. The bottom line is, thank you, Andreas, I appreciate you. This channel is all about celebrating the wonderful world of the DragonLance Saga, and I hope you'll join me in that celebration. Thank you for watching. This has been Adam with DragonLance Saga, and until next time, Slán Javar.